Good morning. I want to start watching Wonder Man. I have been wanting to since it came out. I just have not had the time to sit down and dedicate. I really, really, really hate that they put it all out at once. I really wish they would have slow rolled it, but alas, that's not what happened. So I figured this morning, let's watch it. I'm so excited. Everyone whose opinions I trust on media have said that it's really good so far, and by so far I mean in its totality. So I am just so pumped for it. I also love Wonder Man's thing from the comics. I feel like he's kind of silly in a very like sad comic booky way. It's 8:30 right now. I have roughly until 9:45 before I need to leave because we're on a 2-hour delay for work today. I don't know if I said that. I have to go into work today. It's Tuesday. We had Monday off because there was too much snow. Today we have a 2-hour delay because there's just enough snow on the ground to allow me to drive, I guess. But that means that I definitely have time to watch. Oh my gosh, these episodes are only 30 minutes long. Wow, I kind of feel like a jerk now because I was thinking that these were all going to be an hour long, and if I would have known they were a half hour, I definitely would have committed to doing this sooner. We're in here now. I'm gonna do my makeup for the day, and I'll check back in after episode 1. Okay, I'm done with episode 1. Quick synopsis. Episode 1 introduces us to Simon Williams, who is our main character. He's on set filming American Horror Story and is asking too many questions and impeding the shoot so much that they kick him off set and just write his character out of the story. He then goes home to his partner who is leaving their house, like breaking up with him, moving out. And then he runs into Trevor, I can't remember his last name at the moment, but the guy that played the Mandarin. They start talking. He lets slip that there's an audition for a remake of a movie called Wonder Man, which Trevor has loved since he was a child. He feels like he needs to play this role. He goes to his agent who says, like, sorry, we're not doing this. And he gets the information off of her computer and then goes to the shoot himself. Meets Trevor again. They have a chat about like getting out of his head, and then he goes to do the audition. And him and Trevor have lunch or dinner. I guess it was dinner afterwards. And then as Simon leaves, Trevor gets a call from someone that's like, this guy is dangerous. Did you make contact with him? And Trevor's like, yeah, everything's working out the way it needs to be. And that was all episode 1. That was only like 30 minutes. Guys, this show already is so fun. I love how just simple it is right now. Really bummed I'm not going to be able to watch anymore right now, and I don't think I'm gonna have time to watch any work, so this is gonna be a task for when I get home tonight and possibly even tomorrow, so I'll see you there. I've returned. Not that you could tell, probably, because I'm wearing the same thing in the exact same location, but it has been several hours. It's like 5 now, close to 5. It's 4:30 and we are gonna jump right back in it. I have been wanting to do nothing all day but sit down and watch the show, so I'm really excited about it. I am going to go eat dinner, so I guess we'll eat dinner with 2 and then we'll come back to update. Episode 2, so good. We follow Trevor and Simon as Simon is trying to tape an audition and he's having a really hard time with it. So he texts Trevor, who is with his friend agent guy who's kind of a teabag, and Simon's like, hey, I need help with this audition, and Trevor with the agent discuss him going and putting a ring that is like a aura ring basically on top of Simon's computer if he can get into the house to get into his laptop some way. Very loose Marvel technology stuff. The episode follows Trevor and Simon as they hop around LA. Is it LA or is it Hollywood? I don't know the etymology of California, so please excuse me, but they're hopping around this city trying to find a place where Simon can film because he's just not getting the correct vibe from filming it in his house. They hop around to a few places. They go to one of Trevor's famous friends' house and he is like not cool. So they end up kind of sticking it to him and they leave and go back to Simon's house, and Trevor ultimately gets to put the ring on the laptop, but he is starting to feel remorse about it because throughout this episode it has been Simon sticking up for him and them like working together and creating like an actual bond. This show is already so good. Let's go watch episode 3. I'm kind of crying, if I'm being honest. Episode 3, the ending of it. Okay, hold on. Let's go back, actually. Episode 3 is about Simon going to his mother's birthday party. We get a little bit of a flashback where we learn that there was a fire when he was 13, and he either started the fire or something weird. There were some weird circumstances surrounding the event, so we don't really know yet if maybe he started it on purpose or he was like experimenting with his powers or something, but we know that he wasn't hurt and there was like no sign besides the fact that his clothes were charred and the building was burnt. And it seems like his brother Eric has kind of always not necessarily resented him, but also kind of resented him. He's being kind of mean. Eric is like stereotypical responsible child. He like works for a company where he's a manager and he has like people under him and he makes all the money and does all this stuff for his parents his father's dead. But most of this episode is them at the mother's birthday party, and we kind of learned that Simon was really quiet for his entire life. He didn't have any friends. He seemed to be a really lonely kid, though he didn't really like express his loneliness to anyone. Trevor was told to go to this party and get any dirt that he could or he's going back to jail. So he walked in with a wire and was trying to get people to talk to him, and at the end, after they kind of have a heart-to-heart, he ends up like throwing out the memory card that was attached to his wire, which was nice. And part of the reason he did that is because Simon gets into an argument with his brother and kind of loses it for a minute and smashes a kitchen island with like a marble countertop. The reason I'm kind of crying is that it ended with like this really heartfelt scene. Trevor throws away the SD card, and then Simon gets a text from his agent that he and Trevor both got callbacks for Wonder Man. So I believe episode 4 might just be that process. Let's find out. Why is Josh Gad here? I could not have been more wrong. I could not have been more wrong about that. Episode 4, titled Doorman, is a flashback of sorts, explaining what the doorman incident was. It was something that was really briefly mentioned at the end of episode 3 when Trevor and Simon were talking in their car. And what happened was this hero named Doorman, a hero used very loosely. I don't think he ever did anything heroic. I think he was just a super powered person, but he, through a couple of events, became an actor and got involved with Josh Gad, who, by the way, was playing himself, which is perfect. He, through a series of unfortunate events, lost Josh Gad inside himself, quite literally. And after that event, he was like arrested, I guess, and Hollywood kind of banded together to say no more superheroes in acting positions, mostly for insurance purposes, because the insurance cost to cover the incidents in a case of another superhero-based catastrophe would just be too great, I guess. That episode was absolutely insane and kind of heartbreaking, but we are now on to episode 5, which is called Found Footage. What a fun episode. Trevor and Simon are celebrating getting the callback for Wonder Man. They get approached in a bar by some people that Trevor owes money to, and they take them out into the alley, and Simon is put into a situation where he has to use his powers to save Trevor's life. And a kid with a GoPro on a helmet spots them doing this, so they try to track him down and get the GoPro footage, and the kid is like kind of blackmailing them because he needs them to do something for him. So then they're sent on this goose chase to find this kid's friend / rival and get a motorcycle back from him, but it's not like technically his motorcycle, I guess. It's like such a weird, fun story. At the end of that episode, they get a call from Janelle, his agent, saying that the callback has been moved up and they need to be there like right now. So I guess now we will get the callback scene. That episode was so fun though. Definitely my favorite so far, but let's jump into episode 6. I'm stressed. like genuinely. What happened in 6? So they go to this callback. Simon is like super, super nervous and Trevor's just kind of going with it. And it's a little bit awkward. They're put into some weird acting situations. There's a bunch of other people there and they're kind of like mingling and trying to figure out this callback situation. And there's this part where Simon like falls asleep and he dreams that he punches a hole through a guy's forehead, and that was disgusting, but like kind of funny also. And they end up getting the role together, Simon as Wonder Man and Trevor as Barnaby. But at the end of the episode, after they have like their silent moment of triumph with each other and like congratulate one another, Trevor is picked up by his FBI agent guy. Sorry, I still can't remember what his organization is called. It's something weird. And he gives in again, which means that in these last 2 episodes, Simon is going to have to learn that Trevor betrayed him. And then what I assume is going to happen is that Trevor is ultimately going to do the right thing in some capacity, and they're going to get away with it somehow, but I don't know how that's going to happen. We've got 2 more episodes. I think I'm going to pause here for a minute. It is currently, it's actually 6:49. It is pitch black outside. I'm going to do my nighttime routine. I think I want a sweet treat, and then I'm going to come back and finish the last hour-ish of this show. Episode 7 was so stressful for me, honestly. It was so good. Prediction correct. The first shoe did drop. Premise of the episode is them having to be interviewed by this woman from the New York Times who's like notoriously kind of a harsh interviewer, and Simon, being himself, is super nervous about it. Trevor's trying to calm him down. They go through the first like round of shadow type interviews where she just like follows them around for a day, and then the second day they have like a one-on-one sit down where she is really interested in Trevor and not so much Simon, and she gets him really worked up, and Simon connects the dots on him being arrested when he first landed in LA, which we saw earlier, I think in like episode 2 or 3. And he confesses to Simon basically as soon as he's confronted about it, confirming that he was working with this service the entire time, like spying and collecting information on him. And then Simon went and blew up a building, basically. It was kind of heartbreaking to watch, honestly, even though I knew it was going to happen. I mean, I guess this episode we have to put the pieces back together. Sign of a good show to me is when we get to this last episode and I can't really envision how the pieces are going to be put back together. I feel like with a lot of MCU shows, it's kind of obvious how we get back to square one, so to speak. But with this one, I really don't know, because square one was still really complicated. So I'm excited to watch this final episode. Also, I have to say, before we go any further, the soundtrack for this has hit so hard. Like, all of the song choices has been so good. And I'm just, oh my gosh, I'm loving this so far. Okay, last episode. The last episode is so good. We see I think it's COCD. The agency is kind of zeroing in on Simon because of the incident at the set house. And Trevor takes the fall for it. He puts the Mandarin costume back on and says that it was him, and they arrest him basically immediately, and they lay off Simon for the time being. There's kind of a jump forward. We see them filming the rest of the movie for a little bit. We watch the movie come out, and then we cut to Simon and this random guy, and it turns out that he is kind of conning this guy in a way because he works for the prison that Trevor is being held in, like a really high security prison. So he convinces this guy that he wants to shadow him for an upcoming movie, and like gets close to this guy and lives with him for a while. We don't really know how long this was, but it seems like it was a while because this guy is really opening up to Simon. And he eventually gets this guy to bring him to the prison where Trevor's being held. They go in together in disguise, or Simon's in disguise, the guy's just in his work uniform. We see the guy get an anonymous bank transfer of enough money that he can quit his job. We don't know exactly how much it is, and we don't know exactly who it came from, but we can assume it's from Simon. And Simon breaks Trevor out, and we see that he has a little bit more control over his powers, it looks like. We get a little bit of explanations about his powers, being that he can harness ionic energy, which is pretty similar to what he does in the comics. And by that I mean it's basically exactly what he does in the comics. And they literally blast out of the prison. So final thoughts. This was so good. It was so fun. There's not any huge fight scenes. It's not overly produced or anything. It's just a really fun show. And there are points that you can kind of forget that this is even supposed to be a show about superheroes or a superhero. It's just kind of about a guy, or I guess two guys, and I really, really like that. It really hones in and focuses on who is Simon, who is Trevor, what are they together, and not necessarily what I think we expect from the MCU, which would be more along the lines of who is Simon, what is his power, what is the conflict within that. Yes, of course, there's conflict within him being this powerful person, but the story isn't really about that, and I think that that's really beautiful. I had a really, really good time with this. I would love to see more of these characters in literally any fashion. They worked so well together. Trevor is a bit of a silly character, and I think that his moments that we've seen him in prior, specifically in Shang-Chi, kind of made the entire situation a little bit sillier. But in this one, I feel like we really got a grounded sense of this character and who he actually is and what his motivations are and how he even ended up being the Mandarin in the first place. And it was just fun. Guys, it was a good time. It's not that long. It was only like a 4-ish hour show, a little bit more than 4 hours. I think the script was really well done. It was like visually really, really beautiful. I think the suit that we got in the end was really cool. I've said this in videos before. When I go into media like this, I'm not looking for some like prestige film. I just want to watch something fun and enjoyable. And even if it's not capital F fun, it can be sad and fun at the same time. And I think that was exactly what this is. It was kind of heartbreaking to watch this really lonely, really internally conflicted guy go about his life. But the way that he was able to open up a little bit and become more of a fuller version of himself by the end of this, I think was really, really satisfying. And all of the actors in this did a phenomenal job. For once, I do not have a controversial opinion about a media that I've consumed. I feel like I usually have a little bit of a higher rating for these MCU shows just because I'm not looking to be dazzled. I think I just want to watch something entertaining. But this one I think is genuinely really good. I think that this might be one of my favorite MCU TV shows, at least. Top 3 for me at this very second would be probably Ironheart, Hawkeye, Moon Knight in no particular order. This might be 4. I wish that there was a little bit more of that like superhero stink on it. But at the end of the day, I think the show left off in a really great spot to be expanded upon later, whether that be in a Wonder Man season 2 or in some other project. I would love to see him team up with other people in like a West Coast Avengers kind of way. This was super exciting. I really like Wonder Man in the comics. I've only read a select few of his comics. He's honestly not in that many, but I've read like the original Avengers stuff that he's in, and it was so silly back then. They definitely took the silliness out of it, and I personally appreciate that. I think that this worked really, really, really well. I'm glad that we got some of the comicsy stuff in there. His power seemed pretty spot on. The costume was spot on at the end. I love the fact that they brought in like Haitian roots, because that kind of ties back into what he starts to deal with in the comics. Yeah, I had a great time with it. If there's anything that you can take away from watching this video, it's that you should go watch this series if you haven't already. If you have watched it already, I would love to hear what you thought about it in the comments. And now we are at the part of the video where I say all my PSAs. First off, thank you so much for being here. I know I am so bad about posting stuff on YouTube. It is a little disheartening sometimes to do these long form things, but this year, genuinely, I do want to get better about it. I want to get better about like filming myself and just like being in front of a camera in a long form way. I feel like a lot of the times I just end up rambling, and then I go to edit and I just get so frustrated about how much I'm rambling that the whole thing just gets scrapped. I'm trying to be better about that this year, so this hopefully will be the first of many. If you liked this format, you may be in luck, because I started filming a video about me watching Daredevil Born Again Season 1 for the first time, and then I realized that I should probably do this one first because it is more topical. Again, thank you so much for being here. If you are into Star Wars or comics, DC and Marvel and all that good stuff, and you liked the vibe that I'm bringing into the arena, please press the subscribe button if you feel so inclined. And if you're interested in seeing me daily, you can find me for short form stuff on TikTok and Instagram, both at twin.sunns with 2 N's. It'll be on screen, and there's also links to all of them in the description. I think I've exhausted all I needed to say, so I'll see you later. Bye.